Hi everybody, this is Lamont Tony over here at Big Dogs Performance. And today we have an interesting video. We have a cold air intake that was sent in to us by one of our customers. And he got this cold air intake off of eBay, and I think he paid $80 for it, something like that. You know, it was like $70 plus taxes and all of that. So it was like $85. And it was advertised as a 3.5-inch Fox Body Mustang cold air intake. And so he sent us pictures of it, and it's pretty much a replica of the popular BBK cold air intake. So we told him, go ahead, bring it to us, and we'll flow it. That's what he wanted. He wanted us to flow it, and he wanted to see how it compared to our 3.5-inch high flow 1100 CFM cold air intake. A lot of guys, recently had a comment on one of the groups or whatever. I think the guy even commented on one of our videos where he said, "Oh, you don't need, a stock bottom end bolt on 302. Don't need 1100 CFM." And, we tend to ask the question, why would you say that? Why do you think that? Why do you think that? Why do you think that, just because it's a stock bottom end bolt on car that it doesn't need X, Y, Z, Z, Y, X? Why do you think that? When you actually, they have formulas and mathematic calculations, and also proven dyno and track times where you have to supply a motor with a certain amount of airflow in order for it to be, at peak efficiency. And 95% of the times, people out there underestimate how much air these motors actually need, and how much air these parts actually flow. So this video, we have this eBay cold air intake strapped to the flow bench, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to flow it. And we're going to flow some other parts to talk about, the importance of CFM airflow when it comes down to everything leading up to your intake manifold and so on. A lot of guys for years have gotten this wrong. That was the fan for the heater. I don't know why Lamont has this shop like at about 117,000 degrees. I mean, he's, walking around with your t-shirt and shorts on. It's like, 20 degrees outside, wintertime, but hey, whatever makes everybody happy. They like to be warm, and we're pretty insulated in here. We have our newer roof that was put in a couple years ago. But anyway, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and flow this. You can call it a knockoff BBK, but it's really not, because it's a quality piece. I mean, they powder coated it. It has brand new air filter. I mean, it's not cheap and cheesy, flimsy. It's a quality piece. It just goes to show, the quality that overseas now are offering. I mean, it's put together with a quality piece, but let's see what it does actually, flow wise. So Here we go. So here you have it. Here's the Cold Air 87 through 93 Fox body eBay that the customer sent in to get flowed. Now they advertised this as a 3.5 inch. We're going to show you how it's advertised now. So as you see from the, their picture of their link, they advertise as 3.5 inches. Now, this part is 3.5 inches. Of course, you see this part isn't, but this is how it came. And also, the way it's set up, the mass airflow sensor, the factory mass airflow sensor goes here. But if you're running like an aftermarket engine control system, you can run, just a straight speed density non-mass airflow sensor, like what you do with the Mega Squirts, the Micro, and the Terminator X's. So we're gonna run this in a speed density non-mass airflow setup, okay? And we're going to see what this unit with a brand new filter. Now it has a brand new filter on it. So we're going to see what the brand new filter version flows. Like I said, we want to do this. The customer wanted to know. So we're going to set up right now. Everything is all taped off. So we're going to cut it on and see what it does. So that's right around 798, 800 CFM. Okay. So that's what this brand new filter and this setup, the way it comes. So 800 CFM, that's pretty low. To put this in perspective, our ported and modified factory 65 millimeter throttle bodies that we get off the Explorers and the Mountaineers, and we modify them and port them for the Fox body application, those usually flow around 950 to 960. So this setup will be a bottleneck for that throttle body. Now that's a 65 millimeter. Most out the box 70 millimeters, they flow somewhere around, 900, anywhere from like 900 up to about, 960, 970. That will be a bottleneck for this, this will be a bottleneck for that throttle body. 75 millimeters, they flow, 950 and up. You have the BBK performance units, they flow a lot better. You have the AccuFab performance units, they flow a lot better. You have our ported and modified 75 millimeter throttle bodies, they flow 1200 CFM. So of course, this will be a bottleneck for that. So this is one of the reasons why guys are not seeing the kind of horsepower gains that they should. We had a tuner back in the day. Remember that tuner, Lamont? I'm not gonna say his name, but he used to be down with us, but then he tried to blackmail and extort us, so we had to, separate ourselves from him. But he was a tuner, and he was a hit and miss. He had some customers that he did pretty good jobs with. Then he had customers that he didn't do good jobs. He had one particular customer that his tune caused the customer's motor to run extremely rich, expand the piston rings, and break off the lands on the pistons, which pretty much caused catastrophic failure. And he didn't want to honor that. And he blocked the guy and didn't want to deal with it. So, but that's a whole nother story. But this tuner, they got one of our, when we were dealing with them, one of our ported and modified 1200 CFM 75 millimeter throttle bodies. And he put it on. And after things went south with him, he come out and say, oh, Big Dog's headers are trash. You guys, know better than that. Many of you guys are running our ported and modified stainless steel headers. Then he said, oh, I put Big Dog's ported and modified 75 millimeter throttle body on there, and I made absolutely no more power on a dyno. And the reason why is because A, he had a basic motor that didn't make any real power. And B, he had a bunch of things like this on his car, which I think was a 94, 95. He had one of these on there. And as you just saw, this is 800 CFM. So I think the 94, 95 was even less. So of course, if you have bottlenecks before and after a high flowing part, the motor's not going to see the benefit of the high flowing part. Anybody, that is intelligent and experienced in building and modifying cars would know this. This is a no-brainer. But obviously, he didn't understand this, and when I pointed it out to him, he got quiet. But for years, you guys have looked at forums and groups, and instead of actually understanding what each individual part does by itself, you guys follow people who are giving you bad information. We had, like I said, we had individuals argue us up and down about the necessity of high flowing parts. They saying, oh, you don't need this or you don't need that. But they're just saying this on posts and groups, and they're not posting any data to back it up like we are. You just saw this unit flow 800 CFM. And the rule of thumb is your intake, cold air intake pipe, your throttle body, and your intake manifolds, throttle body tunnel need to flow at least 4 of the runners on your cylinder head in order not to be a bottleneck. So basically, this right here, 800 CFM, if you divide that by 4, that's 200 CFM. So basically, this thing has enough CFM to supply a runner on average 200 CFM before it starts to become a huge restriction. And the way you measure the restriction is a formula. We usually use 2.2, as the calculating factor. So it doesn't make a difference what kind of intake manifold you have or what kind of cylinder heads you have, because all of the air to supply the intake, the runners, the cylinder is coming through this setup. And people don't understand that. We see people go out and get 11R heads and Renegade heads, and they spend all this money on heads, and then you see they have, custom cams and ported intake manifolds, great headers, but they're feeding their car with this little bitty filter. And we're going to show you the difference in one of our modified filters versus that filter. Hold on a second. So this is that filter, and this is the one that we get and modify for our 1100 CFM cold air kit. That's the difference. Side by side, that's the difference. Let me fit it in here. That's the difference. So this will give you an idea of what it takes, even for what guys like to use them on. Oh, it's just a street car. That'll give you an idea of how we get down and how we look at things. Street car or not, It's about maximizing your combo and getting the best bang for your buck. That's a huge difference. You have to understand, we flowed this eBay setup with a brand new filter. And everybody knows the CFM flow rating goes down as the filter gets dirty. So realistically, this filter will probably drop about 100 CFM. Once you start using it and it gets a little dirty, about 100, 150 CFM. So now that breaks this down even more. Because we flowed this filter individually, and this filter flowed 1,040 CFM. This filter, brand new, doesn't even flow enough to support our stage 2 Explorer GT40 manifold. Those usually flow around, anywhere from 1,060 to 1,080 at the throttle body tunnel. So a lot of guys knock the Explorer manifolds when they don't understand what our stage 2 and stage 3 Explorer manifolds actually can do. They look at it as, oh, it's an Explorer. Aftermarket is automatically better. And that's not the case. It's not the case. You guys have seen the direct comparison of an out-the-box System Max 2 versus one of our stage 2s Explorers. Not even the stage 3, just the stage 2. So the horsepower results is real. And everybody's port work is not the same. Everybody's port work is not the same. So you guys have to understand that it's a whole system. So the customer, it's funny because he has one of our stage 2 Explorer GT40 manifolds. And if he would have put this thing on there, he wouldn't have seen the full effects of our manifold. And this is one of the things that we recommend to you guys. If you guys are using our parts, you guys have to understand our parts are ported very, very well. We stand behind our parts, and we'll compare our parts to anybody else's out there. We don't have a problem. We stand behind our port work. We know, hey, it's gonna flow. If that's one thing that's gonna flow. It may be a little delay. It may have, a small, minute imperfection on the paint, but that son bitch gonna flow. We can tell you that. We can tell you the results. So we just want you guys to understand the importance of the complete package. We just want you to understand the importance of the complete package. Okay? It's a lot more than just what's on the surface. You guys have to understand that when you are buying our parts, no matter whether you have a street car, street strip, track only, off-road 4x4, or whatever, it's not just one part. And when we make recommendations, it's because we want you to get the most you can, the best bang for your buck. Okay, we're not trying to upsell you anything. We're trying to make it to where you experience the full effect of our port work. No matter if it's a street car or not, it doesn't matter. If it's a street car and that's all you guys are doing with it, then leave your stock motor in. Leave your stock airbox in. Leave your stock intake manifold in. If it's just a street car. Okay? But we know what you guys want. You want that big dog sauce. You see all of the posts, you see all of the videos, and you'll say, damn, these guys are getting these parts to flow. Yes, because we're testing. Just like we just did with this thing. We just tested this thing. We already know what it flows because it's just like the BBK. It's what you guys call a knockoff or copy of the BBK, and it's a good quality. You know what I mean? It's powder coated. They use quality, couplers and stainless steel worm clamps. It's great quality. The filter is put together very, very well. It's a nice, pretty, good quality piece, but it just doesn't flow well. I mean, brand new 800 CFM. After it gets dirty, it's already low on CFM. So after it gets dirty, the cushion goes down even more. So now you're talking about what? 750, 700 CFM after it gets a little dirty. So everything going forward is being choked off, and your horsepower is going to be limited. It's going to get to a certain RPM band, and then it's going to flatten off or nosedive because it's being choked off. Like Lamont always say, you're breathing through a straw. Trying to run away from, a big dog in the yard, and you're breathing through the straw. We're going to get your ass. We going to catch you. But Lamont didn't want to get in this video. Hey, Lamont. Yeah. Why you didn't want to get in the video? Lamont said he busy. He said he ain't got time for the videos. He busy. So he busy taking care of customers. I'm just trying to make you guys aware, and I need to be, working as well. But we're doing this video for the customer, and now he sees this, and I'm pretty sure he's going to probably put this on the marketplace and get one of our high flow, true 3.5 inch cold air intake setups. So you should have got that in the beginning, but you want to be cheap. But now you know. Now you know. So this is Tony and the busy Lamont. They didn't want to be a part of this video. We're signing off over here at Big Dog Sport. See you guys at the track.